Hello, Chicago. I want to talk today about the bottom line. In the corporate world, the bottom line is pretty straightforward. Companies analyze profits in real time, and they use data from their day-to-day operations to make decisions and improve performance. This is an age-old practice that they like to call duh. Could you imagine if Starbucks couldn't track which lattes were selling best or which stores were most profitable? The market wouldn't stand for that kind of inefficiency, and neither should the world of international development. But in that world, the bottom line is this fuzzy thing called impact, and it's a lot harder to track. And so for nonprofits around the world, they're really struggling to track this bottom line, and they don't have the systems in place to do that. So over $1 billion is spent each year to monitor and evaluate international development programs. But I've seen firsthand what happens to most of the data that's being collected. And perhaps you have as well. It looks something like this. Stacks of paper, labyrinths of Excel spreadsheets that are only dug up at the end of the year to meet the needs of, to write a report that's driven by the needs of donors, not the needs of doers. So this is dead data. It doesn't do anything. And profit-driven companies don't waste time with dead data. They focus on what matters, right? And so neither should nonprofits. They shouldn't waste time with this stuff. But for every organization, there's a technology gap that needs to be bridged in order for them to bring their data to life. Now, I remember when I moved to South Africa in 2008. And I was working, overseeing monitoring and evaluation for an HIV prevention organization, working across a dozen countries. And I inherited a jump drive with the 6 years of data that the organization had collected, hundreds of spreadsheets that they had, and only one person had access to this data. Only he could answer questions about their performance. How many kids had we reached? How many had been tested for HIV? How many had been referred to treatment? And so the staff and volunteers were frustrated because there was this one-way flow of data from the field to the headquarters to the funders, and nobody ever saw what came from all the data that they were collecting. And so I started wondering, because I had spent the last 2 years using a really powerful online fundraising database, I started asking this question: why don't we track our beneficiaries and our outcomes with the same rigor with which we're tracking our donors and our donations? And so we set out to do exactly that, and we built an online monitoring platform built on Salesforce, and we were able to generate dashboards like this one, and all of a sudden we had feedback loops. We're getting in everybody's inbox each month, and they can see our progress towards targets. It's broken down by sex, by age, by month, you name it. And we can answer questions, and everybody sees that. Totally motivating, and it introduced what the CEO called a whole new culture of transparency, accountability, and data-driven decision-making. Now, then a funny thing happened. Other organizations started coming to me and saying, this is exactly what we need, but we do gender-based violence prevention, or we run a clinic, or we need to automate our grant management. And so 2 colleagues and I saw a pattern. Everybody had this problem. And so we started a B corporation called Vera Solutions with the aim of helping nonprofits and other social enterprises get onto the cloud to improve their data systems, to better track their impact, to better track their bottom line. And the results have been pretty amazing. So across Mozambique, our partner has tracked more than 30 million condoms on a mobile phone-based supply chain system. In Nairobi slums, our partner is mapping toilets to identify gaps in access to sanitation. In Mali and Senegal, more than 10,000 farmers are saving for seeds and equipment via an SMS-based layaway system. And in London and Geneva, grant makers are getting off of documents and onto grant management platforms online to focus on what their grants are actually achieving and be able to get more visibility into that. So we've now worked with more than 100 organizations around the world, and these organizations are saving thousands of hours, they're saving millions of dollars by managing and monitoring their work on the cloud. But more importantly, they're arming themselves with real-time data to improve their performance, just like Starbucks is. So what have we learned? First, don't recode the wheel. There are tons of existing platforms that are out there, and we don't need to reinvent tons of new apps. If you want to make a difference for international development organizations, don't invest in a sexy new iOS app. Invest in helping organizations leverage existing technology and build the capacity that they need to sustain that technology. Second, technology is only half the battle. No, poor infrastructure is a challenge, but it's not the biggest challenge. The biggest challenge is humans. Humans hate change. And so if you want to build technology solutions, they need to be human-centric. You need to start with the users and what do we need to solve their problems. Lastly, this may sound cliche, but it's not a one-size-fits-all case. So the problem may be ubiquitous, but the solution simply can't be. Every organization is unique, and so the systems need to be tailored to their specific challenges, their specific problems, to track the impact the way they define it. So at Vera, we're not focused on the next sexy app. We're focused on helping organizations spend less time pushing paper, more time achieving impact. And that's the bottom line. Thanks.